There is a tiredness that has nothing to do with how much you slept. You wake up and already feel behind. The day stretches ahead of you, not as a gift but as a demand. There are things to do, people to see, messages to answer, tasks that were supposed to be finished yesterday. And so you begin moving, not because you want to, but because you must. Because this is what your life has become. A series of obligations strung together so tightly that there is no space left between them, no room to breathe, no moment that is simply yours. And you tell yourself this is temporary, that once you get through this week, this month, this project, things will slow down. But they never do. The busyness continues, and somewhere beneath it all, something is being lost. Welcome to the quiet path. This is a space where we step back from the constant motion of the world, where we sit with what is difficult, where we remember that strength is not found in doing more, but in being more present with what is. Here, we do not celebrate busyness or reward exhaustion. We simply look clearly at what our lives have become and ask whether this is truly the way we want to live. And today, we are examining something that most people never question. Something that has been so normalized, so praised, so expected, that we have forgotten it has a cost. We are looking at busyness, and what it takes from us when we let it fill every corner of our lives. You have heard it countless times. Someone asks how you are, and the answer is always the same: busy. So busy. As if this is a badge of honor, as if being overwhelmed is proof that you matter, that your life has value, that you are important. And perhaps at first it felt that way. Perhaps there was something satisfying about being needed, about having a full calendar, about being the person who could handle it all. But if you are honest with yourself, if you look beneath the surface, you will notice something else: a heaviness, a sense that you are always running but never arriving, that no matter how much you accomplish, it is never enough. There is always more waiting. And the satisfaction you thought would come from being productive, from being useful, from being busy, it does not come. Or if it does, it disappears almost immediately, replaced by the next thing that needs your attention. This is not an accident. This is what busyness does. It creates a cycle that feeds on itself. The more you do, the more there is to do. The more available you make yourself, the more people expect from you. The more tasks you complete, the more tasks appear. And somewhere in the middle of all this motion, you lose track of why you are doing any of it. You forget what you actually care about, what brings you peace, what makes you feel alive, because there is no time to think about such things. There is only time to do, to move, to keep the machine running, and you become a servant to your own life instead of the author of it. In the old traditions, there is a different understanding of time. It is not seen as something to be filled or optimized or conquered. It is seen as something to be inhabited, to be present within. The tea ceremony takes hours, not because it is inefficient, but because it is teaching something. It is teaching that this moment, right here, deserves your full attention. That rushing through it to get to the next thing is to miss the point entirely. That there is wisdom in slowness, in deliberation, in giving yourself completely to whatever you are doing instead of splitting your attention across 10 different things at once. But we have forgotten this. We have built a culture that worships speed and productivity and constant motion, and we wonder why we feel so empty. The cost of always being busy is not just tiredness, though that is part of it. The cost is much deeper. It is the loss of presence. When you are always thinking about the next thing, you are never fully here. The conversation you are having is interrupted by thoughts of what you need to do later. The meal you are eating is consumed without tasting. The sunset you pass by goes unnoticed because your mind is already at tomorrow's meeting. And this fragmentation, this constant splitting of your attention, it erodes the quality of your experience. Everything becomes shallow, rushed, half-lived. You are going through the motions of your life, but you are not actually present for it. The cost is the loss of depth. When you are always busy, you do not have time to sit with difficult questions, to reflect on what you truly want, to examine whether the path you are on is actually taking you somewhere worth going. You do not have time to process your emotions, to grieve your losses, to celebrate your joys. Everything must be pushed aside so you can keep moving. And so you develop a kind of surface-level existence. You skim across the top of your own life, never diving deep, never sitting still long enough to let anything settle. And the result is a strange emptiness, a sense that despite all your activity, Despite all your accomplishments, something essential is missing. The cost is the loss of connection. When you are always busy, you do not have the space to truly be with the people you love. You are with them physically, but mentally you are somewhere else, thinking about work, worrying about tomorrow, planning the next thing. And they can feel this. They can sense that you are not really there. And over time, this distance grows. Not because you do not care, but because you do not have the capacity to care fully. You are spread so thin that there is nothing left to give, and the relationships that matter most begin to suffer. Not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, until one day you look up and realize that you have been living alongside the people you love without ever truly seeing them. The cost is the loss of yourself. When every moment is accounted for, when every hour has a purpose that someone else has defined, you lose touch with who you are beneath all the doing. You forget what you enjoy, what brings you peace, what you think about things when you are not performing for others or fulfilling obligations. You become a collection of roles and responsibilities. A worker, a parent, a friend, a volunteer, but not a whole person, not someone with inner life and depth and mystery, just a machine that produces and performs and responds to demands. And this is perhaps the deepest cost of all, because without connection to yourself, everything else becomes hollow. Most people do not realize this is happening. They are too busy to notice. And when they do feel the emptiness, when they do sense that something is wrong, they do not slow down. They speed up. They add more activities, more commitments, more distractions, because stopping feels dangerous. Because if they stop, they will have to face what they have been avoiding, the questions they have not asked, the feelings they have not felt, the life they have not lived. And so they stay busy. They tell themselves it is necessary, that this is just how life is, that everyone else is doing it too. But necessity and normality do not make something right. They just make it easier to accept. You see this everywhere. In the parent who works long hours to provide for their children but never actually spends time with them. In the friend who is always available to help others but never asks for help themselves. In the person who fills every evening and weekend with activities so they never have to sit alone with their own thoughts. They are all running, all avoiding, all choosing busyness over presence. And they are all paying a price they do not fully understand. There is a story told in some of the old teachings about a student who came to a master and asked how to find peace. The master told him to sit still and do nothing. The student protested. He had responsibilities, things that needed to be done, people depending on him. The master listened and then said something simple. You are so busy doing that you have forgotten how to be. And until you remember, you will never find what you are looking for. This is the heart of it. The doing is not the problem. The problem is that we have made doing our entire identity. We have forgotten that there is something deeper, something that exists before the doing and beneath the doing, something that can only be found in stillness. When you finally stop, when you finally allow yourself to rest, the first thing you notice is how exhausted you are. Not just physically, though that is part of it, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You have been operating on empty for so long that you did not even realize it. You thought this was just how you felt, just who you were, but it is not. It is what busyness does to you when you let it consume everything. And the second thing you notice is how hard it is to stay stopped. Your mind immediately starts generating reasons why you should be doing something. Why sitting here is wasteful, why you do not deserve rest. And you have to resist this. You have to remind yourself that your worth is not measured by your productivity, that you are valuable simply because you exist, not because of what you accomplish. If you can stay with this, if you can resist the pullback into constant motion, something begins to shift. The exhaustion starts to lift. The fog begins to clear, and you start to remember things. What it feels like to be present, to notice the world around you, to have a thought that is not about a task or an obligation, to feel something deeply instead of pushing it aside so you can keep moving. And you realize that this is what you have been missing. This is the cost you have been paying. Not just time or energy, but your own life, your own experience, your own presence in the moments that make up your days. The truth is that most of the busyness is not necessary. Much of it is habit, conditioning, fear dressed up as responsibility. You fill your schedule because you believe you should, because you are afraid of what people will think if you say no, because you have built an identity around being the person who can handle everything. But this identity is costing you. It is keeping you from the very things you claim to value, from rest, from connection, from peace, from presence. And until you are willing to examine this, until you are willing to question whether all this busyness is truly serving you, nothing will change. Consider what you would do if you had a free afternoon with no obligations. Would you know how to spend it? Would you be able to simply be without filling the time with tasks or distractions? Or would you feel anxious, guilty, restless? If the answer is the latter, then you have allowed busyness to become more than a circumstance. You have allowed it to become who you are. And this is dangerous, because it means you have lost the ability to rest, to be still, to exist without producing. And a life without rest is not sustainable. It is not healthy, and it is not fully lived. There is another way. It requires courage because it goes against everything you have been taught. It requires you to value presence over productivity, to choose rest over achievement, to say no to things that do not serve your deepest values. Even when saying no is uncomfortable, it requires you to reclaim your time, your attention, your energy from all the things that are not truly important. And it requires you to sit with the discomfort that comes when you stop performing, when you stop proving, when you stop filling every moment with motion. This does not mean you stop working. It does not mean you become irresponsible or neglect what truly matters. It means you become more intentional, more discerning, more honest about what is truly necessary and what is just habit or fear or obligation. It means you create space in your life, space to think, space to feel, space to be, and from that space you can engage with what matters in a way that is full and present instead of scattered and exhausted. You might be thinking that this sounds good in theory but is impossible in practice, that your life is different, that you do not have the luxury of slowing down, that there are too many people depending on you, too many things that will fall apart if you step back. But this is the story that busyness tells. It convinces you that it is necessary, that you have no choice, that this is just how it is. And as long as you believe this story, you will remain trapped in it. But the story is not entirely true. There are choices you are not seeing. There are obligations you have accepted that you could release. There are expectations you are meeting that are not truly yours. And until you are willing to look at this honestly, you will continue paying the cost. The cost of always being busy is the loss of your life. Not your physical life, but the quality of it, the richness, the depth, the presence. You can be alive and yet not truly living, going through the motions but never really here. And this is what busyness does. It keeps you so distracted, so fragmented, so exhausted that you never stop to ask the most important question. Is this how I want to live? Not how I have to live, not how everyone else lives, but how I want to live. And if the answer is no, then what are you going to do about it? The change does not happen all at once. You cannot simply erase your calendar and start over, but you can begin. You can start by creating small pockets of space, by saying no to one thing that is not truly important, by sitting for 5 minutes without doing anything, by walking without a destination, by eating a meal without distraction, by being with someone you love and actually being there, fully present, not thinking about what comes next. These are small acts, but they are revolutionary because they are teaching you a different way. They are reminding you that your life is yours, that you have more choice than you think, that you do not have to keep running. And as you practice this, as you create more space, you will begin to notice what emerges. Ideas you did not have time to think, feelings you did not have space to feel, connections you were too busy to nurture, parts of yourself you had forgotten existed. And you will realize that all this time, while you were so busy doing, there was a whole dimension of your life that you were missing. Not because it was not there, but because you were not present enough to see it. This is not about being perfect. You will slip back into busyness. You will say yes when you mean no. You will fill your calendar again. But each time, you can notice. You can pause. You can ask yourself whether this is truly necessary or whether it is just habit. And slowly, over time, you can build a life that has space in it, that has rest, that has presence, that allows you to actually live the moments you are in instead of always preparing for the next ones. If you found something in these words that speaks to what you have been feeling, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to The Quiet Path, not because you need to add one more thing to your list, but because this space exists for those who are ready to step off the wheel. For those who are tired of running and ready to remember what it feels like to simply be. This is not about building something or achieving something. It is about returning to what has always been here beneath all the noise and motion. A quiet place, a still place. A place where you can finally rest. Walk slowly. See clearly. I'll see you again on The Quiet Path.